Good evening, everybody. My name is Todd Scholl. I'm the lead learner at the SCEA Center for Educator Wellness and Learning. Good night. I hope you've had an awesome start to your school year. And if there's anything we can do at the SCEA to support you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. It's always exciting this time of year, and we know there's a lot of challenges ahead. We have an election coming up, and it's important for us to come together as one and to unite together to drive public education forward and to help elect pro-public education candidates like Lisa Ellis for South Carolina Superintendent of Education. Well, the mission of COOL, the Center for Educator Wellness and Learning, is to help improve the inner and outer lives of educators. And we use the word wellness first, and we use the word inner first because that's where we feel it starts. Without a healthy inner life, without wellness, learning doesn't take place, certainly not optimally. And a lot of educators leave the profession and seek other jobs because maybe they're not well. So educator wellness is really core to who we are. And tonight, I'm so excited to bring on our guest. She is Michelle Carr, and I'm pulling up her bio. I had it pulled up and then I lost it. Let me pull it up. Here it is. All right. So Michelle is an educator. She's been an educator for the past 28 years. She's an internationally certified mindfulness teacher. She's on a mission to support her fellow educators by sharing the benefits of stress reduction and well-being through the practice of mindfulness. Michelle has taught mindfulness to individuals of all ages within communities, schools, and school districts. She holds a master's degree through California University of Pennsylvania and additional certifications through the International Mindfulness Teachers Association, Mindful Schools, and is a certified yoga instructor through the Yoga Alliance. She firmly believes in lifelong learning. She's continuing her education through the Mindfulness Center at Brown University, as well as the University of South Dakota in Educational Administration. You can find her on social media under Blue Sky Mindfulness, and you can find her website at blueskymindfulness.org. Those of you who know me know that I've been talking about mindfulness and promoting it here in the state of South Carolina for the past about 10 or 11 years. So I'm thrilled to death to bring on another advocate for mindfulness. Welcome, Michelle Carr. Michelle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me and welcome everyone.
We really appreciate you and your time. And I'm so excited, when I read what you were suggesting to offer, I thought, what a wonderful offering for our educators. And especially as we head into another school year, giving them a tool to help manage the many stresses that they're going to be facing. It's such a wonderful gift. And I just want to thank you for being here. And I'm going to just turn things over to you, Michelle.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I don't know about you, but we are in our in-service week in the school district where I teach at. And instead of giving you ideas to take into your classroom, we're going to just practice. This is an evening just for us to join in community. And I will lead you in some basic mindfulness practices, give you a little bit of a variety, and you can decide if maybe some of the practices might help you and be of benefit for you in reducing stress and improving your well-being. So here's a general outline for tonight. I'm going to give you some basic information. We're going to practice as a community. At the end, I'll give you some informal practices that you can take into your workspace, into your classroom for yourself to help self-regulate, to deal with stressors when they suddenly arise. That might be every time you open your email and look at your inbox, perhaps. So as we're together tonight, the few housekeeping things that I'd like us all to keep in mind. So if we can be present and if you can be located in a quiet location where you're not going to be interrupted and disturbed. Notice as we go through the evening any patterns that you might have of just checking out. No need to do anything about it. Just be curious and notice when that happens. Now, make sure to take care of yourself during class. If you feel overwhelmed at any point, you can just stop the practice. I'll offer you options and just know that you always have choice. in your practice. There's many, many ways to engage in practice. All right, so as we get started, we're just going to do a brief check-in. And this is something that you can do at your desk at any time during the day. You can close your eyes. You can gaze down, a soft gaze if that's more comfortable for you. And we're just going to take 3 breaths. We're going to inhale through the nose. We're going to exhale through the mouth and extend that exhale. That's going to help settle the nervous system and bring us into this evening together. Okay, so inhale through the nose, long, slow, deep breath. And exhale through the mouth. And then inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. On this last inhale, inhale through the nose. See if you can just sip a little more air into your body. And then exhale through the mouth. And then take a moment and just ask yourself, what brought you to this webinar? And is there anything that you hope to gain from it? All right, congratulations for being here. So why use mindfulness as a stress reduction practice? Well, stress lives and has a big impact in our bodies, whether we're aware of it or not. Not only in our moods, which are very apparent when we're stressed out, but also in the body. Now, if we engage in a formal practice every day, it strengthens our ability to deal with daily stressors and reactivity when they come up on the fly in life. So it would be like if you would weight train if you wanted to increase your strength, right? You would go to the gym and you would train to increase your muscle strength. You wouldn't just all of a sudden just go and try to lift a really heavy thing. You would train and practice for it. So being able to deal with our stress, our reactivity, habitual patterns that we have that we may not even be aware of, mindfulness is one way in which we can discover these things about ourselves and live a healthier and more balanced life, and perhaps being able to bring a little bit of ease into our jobs as educators. All right, so what is mindfulness meditation? Some of you may know if this is not new to you. For those of you who are new to this, I'm going to share Jon Kabat-Zinn's definition. We're not going to go into a lot of detail about Jon Kabat-Zinn, but in a nutshell, he is the individual who developed MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, in 1978, I believe, at University of Massachusetts Medical Center to work with patients for whom traditional practices, traditional approaches through medicine were not giving them complete or helping them to manage their symptoms. So that's where it all started. And you can look it up. There's a lot of research if you get curious and would like to look into it. MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. So here's his definition. So mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Okay, so some of that's probably pretty self-explanatory, right? So a particular way. So that particular way is on purpose. So we're choosing to practice, whether it's in a formal practice or we're just pausing during the day. We're choosing to pause and take in a long inhale and exhale. Okay, in the present moment, that brings us into the present moment. And the non-judgmental pieces can get a little bit confusing to people. They think, oh gosh, what's that? Well, we tend to judge ourselves quite harshly, and we tend to evaluate how well we're doing. If we ever really take a lot of time to listen to that inner voice that's going on in our minds, it's quite often things you would not say to anybody else. So just having a kindness and a friendliness and compassion toward ourselves That's what the non-judgmental piece means. All right, so even though this is an introduction tonight, if you are working with a counselor and you're excited about starting a formal practice on a daily basis, and you maybe have some history of trauma or PTSD, I just invite you to talk to your counselor about practices so you have somebody supporting you, and then seek out a teacher who's trauma informed in teaching mindfulness. Okay, so let's talk about thoughts. A lot of people think that thoughts are the problem. Oh, I can't sit and meditate formally because my mind won't turn off. Thoughts are not the problem. We all do that. We all think. We identify ourselves with our thoughts. We get hooked by those thoughts. That's where the stress arises. So we can have a different relationship with our thoughts. We can notice them arising without buying into them as truth about who we are. We can notice them, not get involved, and then just let them pass on by. If you think about a weather formation, causes and conditions come together to create certain weather, rain, what have you, right? But then they pass away and the weather changes. Well, the mental internal mind is similar to that. Causes and conditions happen and we get stressed or sad or whatever. All those emotions are fine, but just noticing them and not getting tied up and hooked into them to where our habitual patterns and stories begin to take us down a rabbit hole of a lot of stress and reactivity. All right, so let's start with some mindful movement. So Todd had mentioned that I am a yoga teacher. I teach mindful yoga, which is very slow, and the purpose is to stay in the body, noticing sensations, noticing when a mental event comes up, a thought, noticing that, coming back to the sensations, really an embodied practice. Now, this is something that you can do at your desk, even in between classes, or whenever during transitions during the day. You'll you'll figure out a way to work it in if this is something that interests you. I'm going to practice and lead us in a chair. Now, feel free, if it's more comfortable for you, to stand up. All right. So if you're in a chair or if you're standing, I want you to bring your awareness to the sensations of your feet on the surface that's below them. Just noticing the sensation. Can you notice the parts of your foot that are making the contact with the floor the most prominently? Okay, now we're going to scan through the body, either in the standing position, which is often called mountain in yoga, or a seated mountain posture, which I am doing. So you're at your feet, and you can allow your eyes to close if you feel comfortable doing that, or soft gaze at the floor. Let's move our awareness up our legs, our lower legs, just noticing any sensations that might be arising. There might not be any, and that's okay too. Just noticing what's there. Moving up into the knees, into the upper legs, and if you're seated in a chair, put your awareness on the spot that your bottom is touching the chair. Notice the sensations. You might notice how firm the chair is. Perhaps it's soft. Holding your body in this moment. Okay, let's move our awareness up into the torso. Up to the shoulders. Shoulders are an area that we often hold our tension. We might have them hunched up a little bit. You don't need to change anything. The purpose is just to notice. But if you'd like, you can take a deeper inhale and exhale and invite softening into the shoulders if you notice some tension. And then moving our awareness down our arms. If you're standing, maybe noticing how they're hanging by your sides. Down into the hands. If you're seated, notice the sensations of your hands resting in whatever manner they are. Perhaps you're noticing tingling in the fingertips, or warmth, or coolness, the temperature of the air in the room. And let's bring our awareness up, scanning, going up the arms to the neck, the face, including the jaw, another area that we can hold tension. The cheeks, nose, eyes, corners of the eyes, forehead, and then taking in all of the head. Perhaps noticing the weight of the head as it rests at the top of the spine. Bringing curiosity to whatever's arising and some playfulness. What I mean by that is, let's see if we can be aware of the hairs on our heads. All right, now bring our awareness back to either your feet on the floor if you're in a standing mountain, or your feet and bottom touching the supportive surfaces as if you're in a chair. And so next, let's just raise our arms up. On an inhale, just raise your arms up toward the front or the sides. Whatever's comfortable. If you have some shoulder issues, do what's comfortable for you, perhaps pretending to hold a big beach ball. And then exhale, lower the arms. It's raining here, so I don't know if you can hear that. And then inhale again in your own time, whatever feels comfortable for you. Again, inhale. And then when you're ready, exhale. Noticing if your mind moved into thinking. See if you can bring it back to the actual sensations. So now do a couple more breaths in your own speed. You can raise and lower your arms quickly, whatever you would like to do and whatever feels supportive for you. Perhaps you want to stretch at the top, listening to what you need in this moment, because that's what self-care really is, providing yourself what you need. Okay, when that feels like it's complete, let's just roll the shoulders. Again, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you'd like to match your breath to them, you can inhale when you're rising them up And then exhale as they go down. You can experiment and again, bring some playfulness to it. You can alternate your shoulders, switch directions, spend just a little bit more time on the shoulders. Noticing the sensations. Perhaps you might even hear sounds with your shoulders if they're crackling while you're doing this. And then when you're ready, bringing stillness. Now let's explore just some head rolls, and we're just going to do this just briefly. You can imagine that you have a pencil on the end of your nose or a crayon or a paintbrush or whatever, and then just trace gently as if you were drawing circles. One direction, and then we're ready, the other direction in your own time. And then coming back to stillness when you feel like you're done with that. Now, if you're familiar with yoga, there's a lot of practices that you can bring into a seated posture or into your day. You can invite twists. You can do cat-cow while you're seated. So what this can also do, especially for folks who feel like their minds are super busy and they've tried to sit down and concentrate on, say, their breath or something, and their mind just is spinning and spinning and spinning. Sometimes doing a brief, it doesn't even have to be as long as we did, a brief movement practice invites some settling, and the seated practice is a little bit more easeful. Okay, so let's move into seated practice. So I'm going to explain how I will invite a bell tone. I will use that. So I have a vibratone. If there's any music teachers, hey, you probably noticed what this is. So I'll ring the bell once to start our practice, and then 3 times to indicate that that formal practice is ending. If you would like, when you hear the bell tone, you can place all your awareness on the tone and try to notice it until you can no longer hear it. And you can do that for the beginning and for the ending. Now for postures, if you're in a chair, or also if you're on the floor, if you can, it's a good idea to have the knees lower than the hips. This brings a natural curvature into the spine. And especially if you continue practicing on a regular basis, it will help your body adjust and for you not to have quite as many aches and pains in the back from a seated posture. If you're on a cushion, like if you have a meditation cushion, same thing. I'm not going to demonstrate those tonight, but just keep your knees lower than your hips. Maybe put a blanket folded underneath. When I first started practicing, I used books and stacked them up because I didn't have a cushion. Okay, so we're going to find our anchor, what to focus on. And the choice is up to what feels supportive for you. So some suggestions are the breath, which you may be familiar with, noticing the body as it's breathing, as you inhale and exhale. And I'll probably guide the practice based off of that. However, you substitute whatever you would like to use. So here's the other common choices. Sound. So you just notice sounds that are arising in your environment, perhaps inside your own body. That's what you're going to focus your attention on. If you choose sound, would be sounds as they arise. Noticing if your mind wants to tell stories about the sounds or identify the sounds. Or you can use sensations. You could use the sensation of your seat on the chair and the firmness there. Your feet on the floor, hands in your lap. Whatever feels supportive and accessible to you. Now, a note about the breath and why you might not want to use the breath. If you're somebody who has asthma or has other health conditions that affect the breath. You're welcome to try the breath, but if you find that it's not a real supportive anchor, you can use the others instead. And again, play around with it. This is your practice, your choice, because it's your life and your well-being. All right, so let's begin. Okay, as the bell tone has faded away, notice that you are sitting. You can allow your eyes to close if you'd like, or invite a soft gaze toward the floor, not actively looking at anything, just a soft gaze if that feels more supportive for you. Noticing the body as it is today and in this moment. And then bringing the awareness to the fact that your body's breathing. No need to change or manipulate your breath. Just notice the body breathing. Or if you're choosing sound, notice sounds as they're arising. Or sensations. Placing your focus, your awareness on whatever anchor is most supportive for you. Breathing in, and notice that you're breathing in. Breathing out, noticing that you're breathing out. If you're using the breath, bring some curiosity to where it is felt the most prominently. Perhaps it's the upper lip, the nostrils, the chest, the belly, or maybe just an overall sense of the body being breathed. If you're choosing sound, just allow the sounds to come to you. Bringing curiosity to the texture and the layers that are present in sound. And if you're using a sensation in the body, the invitation is to bring curiosity to that sensation. Does it change when you bring your awareness and curiosity to it? I'm going to allow my voice to drop off for just a few minutes so you can explore whatever anchor you chose. checking back in. It's okay if your anchor shifted to something else. If it did, then that's what your focus will be now. If you're working with the breath and you're noticing the mind wandering off into thought, perhaps you're planning or remembering, you can use a little scaffold. You can count your breaths, where you would inhale, exhale, that would be 1, and try to count up to 5. Or you can use language silently in your mind. You can think the words breathing in as you're breathing in, and then breathing out as you're breathing out. You can experiment with that and just notice if that changes things for you. And pretty soon I'm going to invite the bell tone again. See if you can shift your focus to just allowing the tone to come to your ears until you can no longer hear it. Allowing the eyes to open if they were closed, or lifting the gaze if you had it lowered. Okay, so let's take a minute, check in with yourself again. What is there? No need to analyze, just check in. See what there is to notice. So what we just practiced is often the practice that you will be taught initially, often with using the breath as the anchor. So we were returning to the present moment by using our anchors. What this can do and how this will, in time, affect our daily lives and how we interact with others and with our life experience is through the practice of noticing when we've wandered off in thought and then coming back to whatever our anchor was. In life, without formal practice, in life, when something arises that's stressful, we can notice the stress in our bodies. We can invite that pause because we've been practicing it formally, and then not react. Perhaps choose a wise response. We'll also possibly notice our habitual thought patterns and our reactivity. So when we spend some time noticing our thoughts, it's often kind of like a one radio station on the satellite radio station. So let's say it's totally 80s. I'm just picking that one. You'll notice that there's a theme, right? There's a theme to our thoughts. They're very, very similar habitual thinking patterns. We can notice that and then choose a wise response if we know, okay, this is just my thought pattern. And you can study into this a little bit deeper. We don't have time to go into it tonight. but we can work with those patterns. So think of stimulus and reaction, right? So this is how I teach it to youth when I'm teaching them. So we have stimulus, right? Here we go. Stimulus, and then reaction, immediate reaction, right? They're stuck together. So what we can hopefully bring into our lives through practicing stimulus, something stressed us out, and then we have the response. So the space in between is that pause, that place to choose a healthier, more supportive response for our well-being. Now you may be familiar with the quote that's attributed to Viktor Frankl. I'm going to share that with you. Between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space lie our freedom and power to choose a response. In our response lies our growth and our happiness. Okay, so now let's move into a practice called loving kindness. It's also called metta. You might hear it called friendliness meditation. The why behind this practice is that in time, utilizing this practice, there is research behind it that has shown that it increases compassion, empathy, and connection. Now, as we practice it, and as I lead you through it, this is very much a guided practice. You don't have to totally buy into feeling what you think you should be feeling. Just going through the practice makes a difference. So 2 individuals, if you'd like to look into this further after we're done, if it's something that kind of grabs you. Dr. Kristen Neff and Sharon Salzberg. Those are 2, one a meditation teacher and one a researcher teacher, that you could look into for more information. So we're going to be using visualization in the loving kindness practice. So I will guide you, and then I will offer you some phrases to repeat silently in your mind. You can use the phrases that I offer, or if something else comes to your mind that feels more supportive, more relevant, please feel free to use that. And we're going to do a slightly shortened version of this practice. Generally, this practice can go as long as you would like, but we're going to use a shortened version of it this evening together so you can just get a taste for it to take with you. Again, I invite you to allow your eyes to close or gaze at the floor, being in a comfortable position, beginning with the bell tone. Bringing awareness, as we did before, initially to the body in whatever posture it is in. And then noticing that the body is breathing. Now to begin, I would like you to bring to mind someone that's easy to love. This can even be a beloved pet if you would like. You don't need to overthink, just whatever comes to mind. Just someone that when you think of them, your heart swells a little bit and perhaps you just can't help but smile. Bringing that person to mind as if they were standing right in front of you. Perhaps they're doing something they enjoy. Noticing the emotions and perhaps physical sensations in what we call the heart center, of love welling up and kindness for this individual. If it feels comfortable for you, you can put a hand on your chest during this practice. If it feels supportive, and even on your belly. Holding this person clearly in mind. And then you're going to send them well wishes through the phrases that I'm going to share, or using your own. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you are able, mind and body. May you live with ease. Now, in the next few moments, go ahead and repeat those well wishes to this individual, or use your own, whatever's arising, holding the image of the person or pet in mind. Now allowing the image of that person in your mind to fade. And now we're going to offer loving kindness to ourselves. And this might be where it would feel supportive to put your hand on your chest and on your belly. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as I am able, mind and body. May I live with ease. Taking a moment in silence to send yourself loving kindness. Now moving on to a benefactor, somebody that's been there for you, that supported you. Bringing that individual to mind as clearly as you are able to, with gratitude. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you are able, mind and body. May you live with ease. Now allowing the image of that person to leave your mind. Next, moving on to a group or community. If you're a teacher, perhaps your colleagues or your students, or maybe a group that you belong to. Holding those individuals in your mind. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as you are able, mind and body. May you live with ease. Allowing that image to fade from your mind. Now moving on to someone that you have seen or you see on a regular basis, but you don't really know them very well. Perhaps this is a new staff member, or someone at your workplace that you don't know well. Perhaps it's the person who delivers your mail or packages, or someone you see at the grocery store. Bringing an image of this individual to your mind. And knowing that we don't need to know anything about them or their lives to know that they too are seeking happiness, ease, peace, and well-being in their life. As clearly as you can bring them to mind. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy as you are able, mind and body. May you live with ease. Now allowing the image of that individual in your mind to fade. Next, bring to mind someone who is slightly difficult, not choosing someone that you have a lot of strong feelings toward or involvement with, but somebody that's just slightly difficult, somebody maybe a little bit annoying. If you find that you're having a lot of resistance to this, you can always go back to the person who makes you smile if you'd like. However, I invite you to explore this. Okay, bringing the image of that individual to your mind. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy as you are able, mind and body. May you live with ease. Allowing the image of that person to fade. Bringing your awareness back to your body breathing. And then I invite you to listen to this poem that I'm going to share. And then I will end this formal practice by inviting the bell tone as before. This poem is titled Dear You by Kavari Patel. Dear you, you who always have so many things to do, so many places to be, your mind spinning like fan blades at high speed. Each moment always a blur because you're never still. I know you're tired. I also know it's not your fault. The constant brain buzz is like a swarm of bees threatening to sting if you close your eyes. You've forgotten something again. You need to prepare for that, or else. You should have done that differently. What if you closed your eyes? Would the world fall apart without you? Or would your mind become the open sky, flock of thoughts flying across the sunrise as you just watched and smiled? Allowing the eyes to open again. So a little bit of experience that I have in my life with that particular practice, a loving kindness practice. I used it just exclusively as my formal practice for, several months when I had an extremely difficult administrator. I couldn't change the situation. So I decided, why not engage in a loving kindness practice with this individual as the individual that I used solely for the practice. Now, did I feel those loving kind feelings and emotions and thoughts? No, not. I don't know if I did ever, but the practice of going through it did make a difference. Now, I had moved on to a different school. And when I saw that individual later, those negative thoughts and feelings toward that person didn't come up. I just could truly look at them and just silently wish them well. Now, also the loving kindness practice, play with it, make it your own. You could practice it holding just your classroom. The longer practice would have extended more into the community and then perhaps the country that you live in, and then the entire world with all beings. Or you can just have a short practice with one person, perhaps yourself. Okay, so how about some tips, things that I use as a teacher and have used and taught to other teachers to use just kind of on the go in our daily lives. One thing that I try to do every day, and there is a formal practice that goes with it that we weren't able to engage in tonight, which is walking meditation. But a very simplified version of that is when you get to your school, or let's say you're joining us and you're not an educator, just your workplace somewhere. When you get to your destination, when you get out, just walk to the building, feeling the sensations in your body, kind of like the mindful yoga, feeling what it feels like to walk, perhaps looking at the sky, just being in that moment of walking to the building. And I invite you to be curious about this. If you try this, and I do encourage you to try it. I noticed with myself regarding school, when I would park and get out of my car, I noticed that kind of my state of being, my energy, for lack of a better word, I was already leaning forward. I wasn't present. I was leaning forward into what I had to do as soon as I got into the building, and oh my gosh, I've got this going on and that. As a special education teacher, I was perhaps thinking about meetings and students, but I was not present. I was here. I wasn't embodied. So I was missing out on the beauty of the present moment of living my life as I walked into this building, that preciousness of looking at the sky. So that's one thing that you can try. And you could do it in the building. I actually used it. You don't have to walk slowly. I worked as a crisis intervention team member and a behavior resource room teacher where I would respond to students in crisis. I would use that when I got the radio call to come to respond somewhere. I would utilize that practice when I got there, knowing that the state of my nervous system could have an immediate and beneficial impact on diffusing the situation. Another one, just pausing and connecting with a body sensation. You're in your chair, feet on the floor. Let's say you're sitting down and you've noticed that opening your emails is stressful. Engaging in a few of those breaths where we inhaled. You can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. That will help to settle the nervous system. And then ask yourself, what do I need right now? What is going to be supportive? What is resourceful for me right now? I know we hear the word self-care a lot, and I tend to not use it a whole lot anymore in my teaching because educators have shared that they feel like that's just one more thing they have to do. Or they're told, this is the self-care you're all going to engage in as a staff for the next 20 minutes. Now, self-care is about, it is the answer to the question, what do I need right now? That is self-care. Okay, so I invite you, we're coming to the end of our time already. Oh, goodness. Be curious and playful with the practices. And above all, be kind to yourself. Perhaps something will be of benefit to you. You have choice. Make the practices your own. There's so many doors that you can enter into utilizing mindfulness for stress reduction to help you be embodied and present in your life. If you have the opportunity ever to take an MBSR, that's what I'm training in now for a certification, mindfulness-based stress reduction class. It's a very intensive commitment, an 8-week class. I encourage you to take up that opportunity if it comes across your path. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. This was greatly beneficial to me.
Thank you, Michelle. I feel much better than before we started. And it's always interesting to hear how other people talk about the practices. And every time I learn from other people, I learn something new, and I learned so many new things tonight. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us tonight, and taking us through those practices so that it can be experiential, not just theoretical. And I hope that those who are watching enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with Michelle, her website is blueskymindfulness.org. And I know you're on Facebook, and are you on Twitter as
Instagram.
well? Instagram. Okay.
I'm not on Twitter. Instagram has quite a few videos up as well. Okay. And sometimes I'll throw up just, hey, let's get together and practice invites on Facebook.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I do appreciate your time and everything you did for us tonight. And hopefully we'll get a chance to collaborate and work together again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and be well.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That was Michelle Carr. Again, you can connect with her at blueskymindfulness.org. You can connect with us at the SCEA at the scea.org/connect. Fill out that form. We'll connect with you and let you know more about our resources and events that are coming up. And you can learn more about the Center for Educator Wellness and Learning at cool.us. So be cool and go to cool.us. And coming up next week on the 23rd, we are going to have Compassionate Curiosity with Dr. Rena Hirsch. That'll be August 23rd from 7 to 8 o'clock. Let me pull this part off. Yeah, so you can see that well. And looking forward to that. And then the first in a series of these roundtables that Pete Stone's putting together. It's called Cool Ideas, the Urgent Need to Stop Radical Misinformation from Ruining Education. That's going to be August 25th. I believe that's next Thursday. From 7 to 8 o'clock. We've got Dr. Gloria Boutte, Katie Harris, Dr. Charles King, and Shaquetta Moultrie, who are going to be joining us for that panel discussion. And I think that is such an urgent topic. And what's cool is you can, when you watch these webinars and when you watch these roundtables, if you're logged on, you can, when you type in your comments, we can actually bring those comments on and have you be an interactive part of our discussion. So we encourage you to do that. Before we leave, just want to remind everybody, if you would like to join our movement, you can see at the bottom of the screen, please head on over to jointhescea.org. Or if you're on a cell phone, you can text the word join to 48744. Again, that's jointhescea.org, or text the word join to 48744. I would love to have you as a part of our movement if we come together and if we unite, if there's solidarity among educators in South Carolina, we can make a difference. We can help deliver the kind of schools that you and your students absolutely deserve. And we've got to get on that. We've got to continue to move forward. We have recruited now over 700 new members just this summer into the South Carolina Education Association. We would love to have you. So if you're not already a member, please consider joining. And again, we wish everybody a wonderful start to the school year. I know a lot of people started this past Monday. If so, we hope that's going well for you. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, I want to thank Michelle Carr for her time tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's session, and we will see you on the next live stream on August 23rd. So you guys take care. Have a great rest of your week.